All right. Hello again, everyone. We're now sitting here with Ed from Games Workshop.
Yep.
Go ahead and introduce yourself to the Wargamers here. And we wanted to kind of start off with, I guess, a recap of sort of what's been released with the seminars and everything, all the information that has, if there's anyone out there that is not yet up to date with everything that has been announced, we'll kind of recap that. So I'll let you go ahead.
Absolutely. So my name's Eddie from the Games Workshop community team. Some of your viewers might know me from just commentating on the Warhammer Live channel. We've been doing that at this event at Adepticon, which has been really cool.
And that's a Twitch, right?
Yeah, that's on Twitch. So twitch.tv/Warhammer. And we've done about, I think it's like 35 hours of games across the weekend. So we've been on for quite a long time. It's been really cool.
Sure.
It's a great event as well to see armies and stuff. Because some of the this event, I think, particularly brings out some incredible hobby out there in the world, and people have created like these masterful displays of miniatures, and we've seen some really incredible armies on the tabletop. So
it's like just beautiful displays.
Oh yeah, there's some really top quality hobby at this event. It's really cool. But yeah, that's what I do. I work in the community team. My little corner of that is the social media that Games Workshop do. So mostly our Facebook pages and a little bit of stuff for Warhammer TV as well. So
okay,
that's me.
Great, excellent. As far as announcements that were made, sort of recapping that, what did we see? We actually weren't here on I believe they started that Wednesday. Is that
That's
right?
Yeah.
We weren't here for actually a lot of that stuff. We came in late Thursday night, so I think we might have even missed a large portion of that. So if you could kind of
cool. Yeah, absolutely. So one of the reasons we're here at Adepticon was to do the live streaming, obviously, which we've talked about already. And one of the other reasons was that we've also brought a contingent from the Warhammer publication studio. Now, those are the guys who do all the rules and publications and box games and stuff like that Games Workshop produces. Those guys do a really good job, and they were here to talk about some of their stuff that they're working on at the moment. And they're really excited about. And there were some details about that in a presentation that was happened on Wednesday. There's kind of full details about exactly what that was on the Warhammer community site at the moment, so that's worth checking out. But it was kind of broken down into three main things. So the first one, if we start on Warhammer 40,000, because I know that your kind of podcast deals with that primarily.
Yep.
So one of the big pieces of things that was talked about was what they're looking at for the direction of the future of the game of Warhammer 40,000, and a big part of the influence on that has been a lot of the recent FAQ stuff that's been happening on through the Facebook channels, and then sent to the studio team and created into the recent FAQs. And one part of that is that it's great to have the community involved with helping to show us what they're having issues with in the game, so we can help it be kind of easy and flowing game, and kind of get rid of all those any rules anomalies that might have cropped up. But the other thing that kind of request for those FAQs showed us was all the stuff that maybe, if there were recurring themes and stuff that needed to be dealt with, and the rules guys looked, first and foremost, they looked to kind of answer all those questions, and we're kind of up to the point now where I think the vast majority of the literally thousands of questions that we got were kind of compiled and answered, and we have I think the most extensive FAQ that we've ever released as a company, and possibly the most extensive FAQ in wargaming. Ever. I think I can't think of anything that comes close, really. But the other thing it did is that it's kind of influenced how they've decided to approach some of the future stuff for the game, and the full details on that I don't really want to talk about in too much detail, because I'm not your guy, basically. Right. But if you want to find out, I think there's a transcript of exactly what Pete said, who's the manager of that studio. That's up on the Warhammer community site at the moment. So it's a really exciting time, I think, for the Warhammer 40,000 community and fans generally.
Absolutely. And we had talked a bit about, you'd mentioned some things about the Death Guard.
Yeah, so another thing that was announced, which I'm sure a lot of Warhammer 40,000 fans, Chaos ones in particular, be very pleased to hear, was that we showed off some miniatures for the Death Guard. So for those of you who maybe don't know about the Death Guard so much, they are a Chaos Space Marine faction. They're one of the original traitor legions who followed Horus into treachery 10,000 years before the current timeline of Warhammer 40,000. These guys have pledged themselves to Nurgle, the god of kind of plague and pestilence and entropy, and they have, to the outside observer, they look like kind of incredibly unpleasant, rotting, almost carcasses, corpse Space Marines kind of marching inexorably to to conquest, but
Space Marine lepers.
yeah, pretty much. But Nurgle has also gifted them with incredible resilience, so they can you can shoot at them and bits of them blast off, and they don't even notice, and they can march forward. And wounds that would slay a normal Space Marine and Space Marines are pretty tough to start with. And these guys
3-up save.
Exactly, 3-up save, toughness 4. These guys are even tougher. They're even more durable, and they're to face them is to face the kind of inevitable creeping death, which is exactly how it should be. So
very cool.
We showed off a few of the miniatures in a presentation, and the studio guys, the miniature studios, have done an absolutely incredible job of recreating what those guys look like. I think we saw it at first, maybe with the Thousand Suns that came out at the end of last year, and until this point, a lot of the miniatures that have come out for Chaos Space Marines particularly had been like generic. So here's a Chaos Space Marine, you can paint it whatever colour you want, and then maybe there'll be some shoulder pads or something that make it unique. But actually, with the Thousand Suns and now the Death Guard, what you've got is they've put all their efforts into putting all the rich iconography and lore and the stories that we know about those factions, and they've manifested it in a miniature. And I think both of those races, to me anyway, I don't know about how you guys feel, but they look exactly as I'd always hoped that they would look.
Sure.
And I think the miniatures guys have outdone themselves again with the Death Guard.
Very cool. And there was also some talk of Shadespire as well.
Absolutely. So Shadespire is another thing that was announced. The studio guys are particularly excited about that because I know they spent an awful lot of time working on that over the last year, effectively. And this is a game unlike any of the ones that we currently do. It is a hex-based combat game with a card-building mechanic built in as part of it, and it's very much built for gamers. It obviously it's still played with miniatures. It's still you can still collect the miniatures and paint them, but it's very much built around. It is a game more than it is a setting or a lore or reason to collect.
Gotcha.
It's based around competitive play. It can be played very quickly, and it fills a lot of niches that some of our other games don't fill as well. So
what would you say one of those would be?
Absolutely. So, if you want to play a war game, wargaming is awesome. Like you have a huge battlefield. You spend ages kind of creating these magical terrain scenes. You paint full armies, and then you can create massive, kind of sweeping, awesome stories and things like that. But you don't always have time to do that. It takes to play a kind of full game of Warhammer 40,000 or Warhammer Age of Sigmar. You're committing probably a few hours of your time to do it.
At least 3-4 hours.
Yeah, depending on the size of game, kind of a minimum of kind of 1 hour, but maybe you're right up to 3 or 4 hours.
Well, I mean that's my gaming. But
it depends how fast you roll dice,
right?
I suppose, and how much,
maybe I'm just slow. I don't know.
Who knows? Well, who knows? But what Warhammer Shadespire does, Warhammer Underworld Shadespire, is a much faster game. So you can play it in a lunch break. You can play it very quickly, and you can play it on a very small amount of space. So the table space it takes up is kind of 2 laptops pushed together.
All of that sounds great.
You don't even need to paint the miniatures if you don't want. They come as coloured plastic. So the 2 armies we've shown so far are the Stormcast Liberators and the Bloodbound Blood Reavers. It's set very much still in the Mortal Realms in the Age of Sigmar, but it's a different game. It's kind of uses the setting, but the mechanics of the game are very different. Okay. So you can get the miniatures are very easy to assemble. You don't need glue to assemble them. They clip together, and they come in colour plastic. So you can literally open the box and you can be playing within minutes of getting your set, basically. So it's designed to be very easy to learn, but at the same time, it's also got a lot of levels of complexity of tactics and strategy. Sure. So there's deck building mechanic as part of it. There's a couple of decks that kind of contribute this kind of how you score points, and then there's the kind of actions that you can take when you play. So you can build an army that you used to say miniatures all the time, but you can build a deck that can be very aggressive, can be very defensive, can make your guys move very fast. It can be about taking objectives. It can be about killing enemy characters. So there's, even though on the face of it, it looks simple in terms of they're always the same miniatures, it's the same board sections. There are near infinite different varieties of where you can play, and every time will be different.
Very cool. Well, definitely lots of exciting news, lots of exciting announcements. Everyone's thrilled to have Games Workshop here and be at the convention. And as you mentioned, going to the Warhammer community page, you can of course find lots of that information there as well. So Again, thank you, Eddie, for talking with us.
Pleasure to be here.
Yeah, it was wonderful. So, Adepticon 2017, ladies and gentlemen, Games Workshop, and Commissar Mike, who is not yet in the come say it. All right, so we're signing off, and thanks for watching, everybody, and have a wonderful rest of your day.